We're going to start today sat down. So just find a comfortable seat, whatever that is for you, whether it is sat on a block or a cushion, sat on your knees, sat cross-legged, whatever feels most comfortable for you. And get really, really comfy. So really sit on your sit bones, really feel the sit bones on the ground beneath you. And then just allow your spine to sit up nice and tall, honouring the natural curves as the lumbar spine curves forward, the thoracic spine curves backwards, and the cervical spine curves forwards again. And then gently close your eyes or take a soft gaze on the floor in front of you. Let your hands lay on your lap or place them on your thighs, whichever is more comfortable for you. And take a moment to check in with the breath today. Just noticing what it's up to. Noticing the length and the depth of the breath. Notice if the breath is predominantly in your chest or whether it's going deeper into the body. Notice where the breath is flowing easily. And notice if it feels restricted at any point. Notice how the breath moves your body. And then take a moment to notice how the body feels. Just noticing any sensations, noticing whether there's any bits that feel like they need a stretch or a wiggle. Just simply checking in with how you're feeling today and making a mental note. And then gently flutter your eyes open, and we'll start by deepening the breath. So to start with, put your hands on your belly. And as we inhale, really inhale into your hands, really making the breath as deep as you can. So as your lungs expand, they press down into the torso and force the belly outwards. And then as you exhale, the ribs squeeze back together and the belly softens. Inhaling to really expand into the hands. And then exhaling, letting the belly soften. Inhaling into the hands. And exhaling. Do 3 more like this with your breath. And then once you've done your 3 breaths, we'll move into really expanding the breath out sideways. So not only will we take a really deep breath down into the belly, but we'll also expand out into the ribs. So placing your fingers on your ribs. Take a nice big inhale, expanding the belly, expanding the ribs. And then as you exhale, feel the ribs move back towards one another once more. So inhale, really expand into the belly, expand into the ribs. And then as you exhale, feel the ribs come back together again as you push the air out of the body. Inhaling to expand. And then exhaling, release. Do 3 more like this with your breath. And then once you've done your 3 breaths into your ribs, move your fingers onto your collarbones. So the idea of this breath is we're going to expand into the belly, we're going to expand into the ribs, we're going to fill our chest front to back, so we're really expanding the ribs front to back. We're keeping our shoulders relaxed. So nice big inhale, expanding into the belly, into the ribs, and then front and back. And then exhale out nice and slowly. So on this one, aim for about a count of 6 on the inhale and a count of 8 on the exhale. So inhaling and really expanding. And then a nice, slow, even exhale. In for 6. And then a slow exhale for 8. In for 6. Out for 8. Do 3 more like that with your own count. Excellent. And then once you've done your 3, just let your hands back down into your lap. So the next thing we're going to do is move our spine in its 6 different directions. You can either do this sat or you can do it on your hands and knees, depending on what environment you're in. So we're going to start with some cat-cow. So if you're sat, as you inhale, really stretch the chest forwards and scoop out the back. And then as you exhale, really roll the shoulders, roll through the back, drop the head, tuck the tailbone under. So we inhale as we come forwards, and we exhale as we go back. If you want to do that on hands and knees, exactly the same kind of movement, just on hands and knees. So inhale as the belly comes down, and we look up. And then exhale as you really pull the tummy muscles in, round through the spine, round through the shoulders. Inhaling as the belly comes forwards, chest comes forwards. And then exhaling as it goes back. Do 3 more like this, moving with your own breath. And then once you've done your 3, just come back to a neutral spine. Then we'll move to the side body. So if you're sat, you either want to be on your knees or sat with your legs out in front of you for this one, because it's a bit more uncomfortable on the hips if you're cross-legged. So if you're sat, we inhale as we bring one hand up above the head. We exhale as we move over into a side bend. We then inhale up to center, switching arms, and then exhale over to the other side. So inhaling center, exhale, really stretch, keeping the armpit open to the ceiling. Inhale to the center, and exhale, stretch. Good. And again, if you want to do this on hands and knees, we inhale at center, we exhale, look around towards one hip. We inhale at center, we exhale around towards the other hip. So inhale center, exhale, look over one shoulder. Inhale center, exhale, look over the other shoulder. And we want to try and make sure that our shoulders and our hips aren't leaning over. So we're literally looking around towards one side, looking around towards the other side. We're getting that side stretch. And on all of these, you can move as fast or as slow as suits your breath. Then do one more each side. And come back to center. And we'll do a seated twist. So bring the left leg in towards you. The right leg can stay out long in front of you. And then step that foot up and over the knee so that the foot is crossed over the knee. Sitting up nice and tall, turn around towards the left, hugging the front leg with your arm and maybe taking your other hand down behind you. Sit the spine up really nice and tall, and then on an exhale, twist and look over your shoulder. And just take 3 deep breaths in this pose. On each inhale, really try and reach the head up tall. On each exhale, see if you can twist a tiny bit further. And then once you've done your 3 breaths, come back to center and around to the other side, doing an open twist. So your left arm comes to the inside of the knee, and we look behind you once more and take 3 breaths there. And once you've done your 3 breaths, come back to center, unhook the leg, stretch it out in front of you, and bring the other leg in. Step that leg up and over, really making sure that both sit bones are still in contact with the ground. Sitting up nice and tall, this time we turn around towards the right, hugging the front arm around the front leg, and then taking the right arm behind you, looking over your shoulder. And again, we'll stay here for 3 breaths. So on each inhale, really try and sit up tall. And on each exhale, see if you can twist a little further. And once you've done your 3 breaths, come back to center, turn around towards the other side, and really still sitting up nice and tall. Maybe take the right arm in front of the front leg, and just use that as a place to push from to be able to twist open. And take 3 breaths this time, this side. And then once you've done your 3 breaths, come back to center, untangle the legs, and just really stretch your toes towards your shins. So really engage the legs, really engage the quads. Squeeze the kneecaps up towards your thighs, and then inhale the arms up above the head. So we're sat like a capital letter L, really reaching the fingertips up as we relax the shoulder blades down the back. And take 3 really deep breaths there. Everything engaged, tummy muscles pulled in. Excellent. Then bring the hands down by your sides. Take the feet out slightly wider and relax the toes. And I'll just move through the ankles and the knees a little bit. So start by pointing the toes. You can support yourself with your hands behind you if that feels good. Start by pointing the toes and then flex the feet up. Point the toes, flex the feet up. Point the toes, flex the feet up. And then relax the legs. Then keeping the feet in exactly the same place as they are, open out from the hips and then roll your legs in as much as you can. So we're really moving from the hips here, not from the ankles. Rolling your feet out and then rolling the legs in. And you'll probably find you've got more rotation one way than the other. One more each side. And then keeping the legs still, make that rotation from the ankle instead. And see how much more movement you've got in your ankle when you're not only relying on your hip rotation. Opening the toes out to the side, reaching them into the middle. Excellent. And then bring both feet back in front of you. Pull the left one in and just support the leg around the back of the thigh. Sitting up nice and tall. Point the toes and just take the toes slightly off the floor. As you inhale, stretch the toes up as much as you can. Flex the foot, and as you exhale, can't speak, drag the heel back down towards the mat. So as we inhale, we point the toes up, and then as we exhale, we flex the foot and drag the heel back down. Excellent. Point the toes, inhale up. Flex the foot, exhale down. 3 more like this. Point the foot, inhale up. Flex the foot, exhale back. Point the toes, inhale up. Flex the foot, exhale back. Last one this side. Point the toes, inhale up. Flex the foot, exhale back. Good. Then we'll move to the other leg. So take the left leg out, bring the right leg in. Point the toes. Inhale up, flex the foot, exhale down. Point the toes, inhale up, flex the foot, exhale down. Point the toes, inhale up, flex the foot, exhale down. 3 more like this. Pointing, inhaling up, flexing, exhaling back. Pointing, inhale up, flexing, exhale back. Pointing, inhale up, flexing, exhale back. I think 1 more. Pointing, inhale up, flexing, exhale back. Good. Then bring the feet back down to the mat. Really put the feet probably just slightly wider than hip width apart. Support yourself by placing your hand on the mat behind your hips. And really sit up nice and tall. Point the toes, and then we'll start with the left leg. Lift the left leg up, bring it to the middle, take it out to the side, bring it to the middle, take it out to the side, bring it to the middle, take it out to the side, and then relax it. Point the other toes, bring it into the middle, take out to the side, into the middle, out to the side, into the middle, out to the side, and then relax it back again. Good stuff. Okay, so next one, seated pigeon. You can either do this seated or you can do it reclined, depending where you're at. So pull the left leg in and then just cross your ankle over your thigh. So for seated pigeon, you take your foot in one hand, your knee in the other hand, and you just squeeze that leg in as much as you can. If you wanted to do reclined pigeon, then literally laid on the floor, exactly the same thing. You hold the knee, you hold your foot, and you pull that leg in as much as you can. Maybe have a wiggle from side to side. Just really squeezing that leg in, getting some movement into the hip, getting some movement into the knee and into the ankle. Again, if you're sat, you don't necessarily just have to have one leg out straight. If you'd rather have that leg bent and use the leg to pull your other leg in and have your hands behind you, you can do that too. That probably gives you a stronger stretch into the back of the glute muscles and into the back of the thigh. And then just have 3 nice deep breaths here. And then release that leg off and pull the other leg in. So right leg this time. Bringing the foot into one hand, your knee into the other hand. Squeeze it in as much as you can, lifting your ankle up as much as you can. If you wanted to bend the other leg, put your hands behind you and use your knee in order to hold that leg in, then you can. And equally, if you want to do reclined, using your 2 hands again, leave one leg out nice and long, just pull this leg in. Just stretching out around all of the muscles that connect the hip to your leg. Have a few breaths there. Excellent. And then once you've had your few breaths, release the leg. Take both legs out in front of you, and then we'll stretch the whole of the back line of fascia. So really engage the legs to start with. Take your hands straight out from your shoulders. Pivot at the hips and reach until you can't reach anymore, and then drop the hands down. Wherever your hands land, whether it's your knees, somewhere in your shins, around your heels, just allow the upper body to then be heavy and to roll over the lower body. And then maybe use your arms to pull yourself into the stretch slightly. And then take 6 really deep breaths here, just allowing the fascia that connects the top of your head down the whole of your back body, all the way to the soles of your feet, to really stretch. And then once you've done your 6 breaths, gently walk your hands back towards your hips and roll your spine back up to seated. And then find your comfy seat again. Whether that's with your legs tucked in or sat on your knees or on a block, whatever is most comfortable to you. And we'll do a few rounds of block breath. You all know block breath by now, but we breathe in for 4, we hold for 4, we breathe out for 4, and we hold the breath out for 4. You can do it with your arms or just with your hands in your lap, whichever feels most comfortable for you today. Exhale out all of the air in your body. And then in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. In. Hold. Out. Hold. 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 And just let the breath come back to normal. And gently close your eyes. Just going back to noticing the natural characteristics of your unique breath. Making a mental note as to the length of your breath, the depth of your breath, where the breath is moving freely, whether there's anywhere it feels restricted. Notice if those mental notes have changed since the start of class. Spend a little time to notice how the body feels too. Noticing if there's any areas of sensation in the body, how the body feels right in this very moment, whether anything has changed since your observations at the start of class. Simply noticing, not doing anything about it, just making a note. And then try and find some ease in your posture. As much as we're having to hold ourselves up against gravity in this seated position, try and make it as easy as possible for yourself by stacking the bones on top of one another, by tucking the chin in so the head is supported by the spine, relaxing the shoulders down the back, allowing the sit bones to ground into whatever it is that you're sat on, whilst also pushing away from the floor as the spine and the top of the skull rises up towards the ceiling or the sky above you. And then take 3 really deep, long breaths. The longest, deepest breaths that you've taken all day. And then once you've taken your 3 really long deep breaths, gently flutter your eyes open and have a wiggle and a stretch wherever you feel that you need a wiggle and a stretch. Thank you for joining me on the mat this lunchtime. I hope that you enjoyed it.